one thing that stands out to me, Sam, after getting kind of close to the playoffs last year, they finished 8-9. They have a negative point differential on the season. Is okay, the plan seems to be there offensively. You like what Zach Robinson did with this team. People weren't saying, like, what's going on with Bijan? Why isn't Drake London involved? The shocker was that Kirk Cousins was so god-awful. And you select your quarterback of the future. Now, a lot of change coming on the defensive side of the ball. First, they were trying to fix the offense. I don't know if it's fixed, but damn, man, it was impressive to see what Zach Robinson was able to do in year number one with this crew, and the continuity's there. Everybody is back. So I'm expecting them to be even better, and you have a higher upside quarterback out there, as we expect, for the entire season in Michael Penix.
Conventional wisdom would tell you eventually they're going to break through and win 11 or 12 games because this has been slowly building for the last handful of years. I've got their Football Reference page up right now. Last 4 years, 7 wins, 7 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins.
Man,
the definition of underachieving. And the win totals have been 8, 8.5, 9 for the most part. So they've gotten close, but they haven't quite gotten over the top. And I remember in the 23 season, I went over 8.5. They lost 6 games by 1 score. And I didn't go back on it last year because I said, I'm not doing it again. So I can see it clearly. I'm not upset. I'm not angry at what happened last year because I stayed away from it. Because I said, I'm not doing this again. Well, maybe I feel good now. Maybe I'm ready to attack. But really, any support that the Falcons would get from me, if it happens, and I haven't done anything yet, but we have about a month to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I love their draft on defense. Just 3 really good players. Bang, bang, bang. Right out of the gate. You know, they get James Pierce. They get Jalen Walker. Those are 2 guys that just have SEC speed and athleticism. I thought those were exceptional picks. And then in the 3rd round, they take Xavier Watts, safety from Notre Dame, to add depth to a defense that did get better from the year before. So when you think about the bodies they can bring off the edge now, you got Leonard Floyd, you bring him in from San Francisco, along with Walker and Pierce, who might not start right away, but Atlanta could very quickly realize, hey, these guys are probably deserving to play a little bit more. I'm looking at the depth chart. They're not in the starting lineup, either guy, but it doesn't take much to get a guy from Georgia or a guy from Tennessee onto the field if they're producing. This defense could be a really, really strong faction in a very, very weak division.
I watched every game for Watts, and I couldn't believe that they got him at the very back end of the 3rd round. Like, this was almost a 4th round pick. You look at all those, and you mentioned Walker and Pierce both go in the 1st round. They traded back into the 1st just to get Pierce. That's been the issue with this team. They have nothing up front that intimidates you. They can't get to the opposing quarterback, and then they add 2 guys from the SEC up front. Walker, 6.5 sacks last year, and you look at Pierce out of Tennessee. He had 55 pressures a season ago. He's a 4.4 40 guy. Like, that's exactly what they need. I think those guys are going to, both of them are going to contribute immediately. You have what is expected to be 3 new starters on defense. And we're not talking about the draft picks. And we could live in a world where Walker, Pierce, and Watts are all contributing. Like, that's basically adding 6 new guys to the defense. They added Floyd. They added Jordan Fuller in the back end. So I love what they did. They identified their weakness. Say, look, our offense is fine. We see that. And Robinson was clearly good with everything that they had on offense a year ago because they didn't make any moves. Like, it's all here. We're good. We know we need help on defense, and that's where they put all of their assets. It's impressive what they did. They got crushed the night of the draft again. Maybe it's just something people are comfortable doing. They did a year ago with the quarterback move with Penix, and now look at it. He's going to be their week 1 starter. At least that's the expectation. And then it happened again with Pierce. Oh, the value's not. Who cares? They think their window is open now. They need an edge guy. They had opportunity to get an SEC edge guy. I did not have a problem with it. And then in the third round, they get Watts. Maybe they take Watts in the second round if they have a second round pick. So it all worked out for them, I think. This team has a ton of upside. I'm a fan. And they have a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich. Now, I hope his son doesn't get him into any more trouble. But I think that is a positive move. Clearly, Ulbrich came in and said, oh, boy, we need a lot here. And they gave him a lot of toys to play with. So I see a lot of upside with this team. I like the Atlanta Falcons this year. The win total's 8.5. If you want to pay juice, you can find some 7.5 still out there. I'm going over. I know a lot of people have been burned by them over the past couple of years. I was not one of them, but I do like them to take that big leap this year.
If you've been betting the Falcons every year, like our guy, Ian McMillan, it probably feels like a bad relationship that you probably shouldn't keep going, but you're hopeful that it turns around. That's what the Falcons are to a lot of people. You're probably going to get hurt, but you're still holding out. You're still having faith that if everything does hit, this could be one of those seasons where it all finally clicks because you have an offense that you like and that you've been slowly growing. You drop in the quarterback, and now you address the defense in the draft. And one more quick point on Pierce. If those people that forgot about James Pierce don't remember how good he was heading into the season last year, I vividly remember reading a preview on the SEC where somebody compared James Pierce to Jadeveon Clowney. And if you go back one calendar year, James Pierce, depending on the book, was either the first or second favorite to be the number one pick in the NFL draft.
Wow.
Didn't exactly go the way that it was supposed to, but the upside, the potential, the boom plays are there. He just has to channel it, and they have to develop him accordingly. But he's not going to be asked to come in there and sack the quarterback 10.5 times. They're going to slowly ease him into the mix. And I'm thinking if you're looking to bet Atlanta, rather than go 7.5, 8.5, I'd rather you just bet them to make the playoffs. BetMGM has plus 150. 100 makes 150, collects 250. If you want to play alts, fine. I was talking to a guy the other day who said, I played Atlanta over 10.5 at the corresponding plus price. Fine. What happens when they win 10 and make the playoffs but don't hit 11? The alts are always a dangerous game. But this should be a playoff team. Should be. Not saying that it will be, but it should be, given the talent on the team and the time that they've all spent together trying to figure this thing out.
Had me on the edge of my seat right there. When you said instead of playing the win total, I was like, what's he doing? Is he saying playoffs
Super Bowl.
or division? No. Playoffs or division. Division plus 250, if you're feeling that. And that kind of depends on how you feel about Tampa this year. That's what it really comes down to. I'm not as concerned about Carolina. Yeah, they'll be improved, but I don't think they're ready for that conversation for the division. But, that's pretty big gap, 155 or plus 250. Like, if you think this is a division that has one playoff team, you just play the division. Play the division if you don't think a wild card is going to come out of here as well. Schedule. According to win total, fourth easiest schedule. However, it is a tough start. Really tough start. So if you're looking at the win total and you're not thinking that they get to 10-11, maybe this is a team you want to jump in after week number 7. Here's the reason. They start with Tampa Bay, at Minnesota, at Carolina. I know it's Carolina, but it's a divisional road game. Commanders, Bills, at the Niners. Those are the first 7 weeks, 6 games in 7 weeks because they have an early bye. Yeah, if you are thinking win total, I'd consider just coming in after week 7, after they go to San Francisco.
In play, sort of an in-season play.
Yeah. So what are they dogs in 5 of those 6 games? Probably, at least, maybe all of them.
Could be. That said, if they come out week 1 and take it to Tampa, Tampa's got to incorporate a new offensive system for the most part, losing Liam Cohen, who directed that offense last year and really squeezed the juice out of Baker Mayfield. You look at the market for week 1, Tampa opened sub 3. So it's Tampa at Atlanta, week number 1. And you're thinking, oh, well, what's the spread? Not 3, 2.5 is what it opened. And you look at the board now, and there are a lot of 1.5s and a couple 1s. So the early respect in that game on the Atlanta Falcons is a very small home dog. And look, it'd be silly to think they can't come out week 1 and win 28-17 or something like that. I feel like it's coming. This has been building for such a long time, and they've just had either bad coaching or horrendous quarterback play. This front office has really lined the dominoes up well. They just have to show it on Sunday, and they have not been able to do that. But the good thing for Falcons fans is that Arthur Smith is still not in the building. I mean, he wasn't really an issue last year either, but 2 years ago, I watched a lot of Falcons, as I told you, and I needed them to win. I think it was either 8 or 9 games, all these years run together. And I lost a game because the Falcons had 1st and goal at the 5 and could not get it in. The drive ended on a 4th and goal from the 2, and he had the quarterback in the shotgun. And I was ready to rip my TV off the wall. We did see progression last year, figuring out how to use Bijan Robinson and keep him on the field inside the 5-yard line. No more tight end reverses to Jonnu Smith. No more shotgun sets when your nose is on the goal line. They got a lot better in that area last year, and if they can build on that with what many believe is a top 3 running back in the game, look out for Atlanta.
It's hard for me to be this positive because the VP of football ops and player personnel is still Ryan Pace, but I like their moves. I really do. So I'm able to push that to the side. So we're high on Atlanta. We'll get some more intel with our guest coming up in a few minutes. As far as player props, the season props, what the projections are saying, what the numbers are saying, Sam, is there's going to be some regression setting in. The Bijan rushing yards is 1150. Last year, he had 1450 with Zach Robinson. Touchdowns, rushing touchdowns for Bijan, 10.5. He had 14 last year. Remember, before Zach Robinson, that was an issue. Same thing with Drake London, 158 targets. A lot of upside there. The number 1125. Last year, he had almost 1,300 yards. Number on touchdowns receiving, 7.5. He had 9 last year. So they're taking potential injuries into account, but they're also saying regression setting in a little bit for these playmakers.
I disagree with the regression on London. I think a full season with Penix, assuming health, is going to be great for Drake London. And I think that number, 7.5 plus money to the over, is worth a whack. And I will take, if I have Drake London on the board in fantasy, first few rounds, I'm thinking this is the year for him to be a 10, 11 touchdown guy, 1,400 yards. I think this is an explosive year for London.